We start. Donates a sum of money to encourage early payment of our rates. I just want to declare that I'm a shareholder of the Commonwealth Bank, and I also bank with them. So just
good work.
So Brianna is the customer service manager at Bunbury branch, and Mr. Roland is the very lucky ratepayer whose name I pulled out of the hat. Actually, we don't pull things out of the hat anymore, we push buttons. So please make them both welcome. Brianna, would you like to say a few words on behalf of the bank?
Sure. Sorry, I've sort of only just learnt about this, but happy that this could be done. I could be here to present it. I've never been in here before. It looks all very nice and official. So
it is nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah. I could have some input if you really want me to. I don't think
She doesn't live in the Shire. This is actually a city, Brianna.
Sorry, Shire, city. Yeah, understand.
Mr. Roll is the star of tonight's show.
He sure is. Yep. I'll let you take over.
Please.
This one is for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Say something.
Would you please show appreciation? And thank you so much for you paying your rates early. That means a lot to our cash flow. We have a large number of ratepayers who do that, so well done to you, and I hope you enjoy what's in that little envelope there. So did you want to take a quick photograph, Kate? Did you want to say anything?
Oh, just thank the city of Bunbury and the Commonwealth Bank.
Well done. Good job.
City. Are you happy being a photo for the city? Yep. You're in the middle, or?
No, you say there.
I say that, right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Brianna. Thank you, Mr. Roland. Good afternoon, councillors, members of the public and officers. Welcome along. I declare this meeting open, and in doing, I acknowledge that Goombarup is Wadani Noongar Budja, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Under announcements, my fuel cost for the period was $47.60. And I also acknowledge that this is NAIDOC week, under fairly different circumstances, but I'm hoping that we all take time to acknowledge how important this week is. Attendances, we have approval of absence from Councillor Brown and Councillor Steck, and the rest of us are all here. Any declarations of interest? None, thank you. Can I have someone move confirmation of the minutes of the previous ordinary council meeting? Councillor Steele, Councillor Yip, all in favour? That's carried unanimously, thank you. Are there any petitions, councillors? Thank you. We go to method of dealing with agenda. Coming out for consideration is 10.3.2 because we need an absolute majority decision on the budget review. Any further items that anyone wants to raise? Councillor Smith. Councillor Giles, do you have one? Anyone else? Okay, we move on. Can I have someone move 10.3.1, 2 and 3? Councillor McCleary, Councillor Giles, all in favour? That's carried unanimously, thank you. We go to 10.3.2, which requires an absolute majority. Can I have someone move the executive recommendation, please? Councillor Hayward, seconded Councillor Plum. Any debate, councillors? I'll put it all in favour. That's carried unanimously, thank you. 10.3.3. You're moving
the executive recommendation, please. Yes.
You're moving the executive recommendation. Is there a seconder? Councillor Steele. Councillor Giles?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. First of all, I'd like to debunk the myth that if we move to a 3-week cycle, somehow the City of Bunbury would suddenly be dysfunctional, unworkable and grind to a halt. Each of our surrounding shires, who have similar populations and arguably high growth, especially when you look at Treendale and their new shopping centre and all the big buildings that's going out there. Capel, Harvey and Dardanup have meetings once a month, so they have half as many meetings as we do. So does Donnybrook-Barlingup. We have sometimes been compared to Albany. They also meet once a month. Much bigger councils such as Rockingham and Mandurah also meet monthly. The fastest growing council area in the state at the moment, recognised as such by the Local Government Grants Commission, is Serpentine Jarrahdale. How often do they meet? Monthly. So you can see that it doesn't halt any growth or expansion. And by going to 3 weekly, we're not going to monthly, but we're having a compromise between the two and the monthly meetings. A lot of routine decisions, planning or otherwise, are made by council officers and by delegations, and that has led to much fewer items coming to the meetings. It's hard to remember an important decision that had to be made urgently in the last 12 months. Important decisions should be scrutinised and debated thoroughly, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Now, the benefits of a proposed 3-week cycle: firstly, it would create more time for the officers to prepare the draft agenda and the reports that go with it. As we speak tonight, the next draft agenda has already been organised. It's already been set, because that's leaving little time to act. Leaving little time to act on council decisions from tonight. Perhaps we could even receive it a few days earlier if we went to a 3-day cycle, which would allow more time to digest the very large appendices that we often get. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, a 3-week cycle would allow for proper informal briefings on projects and other matters at a time when all councillors are normally available on a Tuesday evening. As I mentioned before, we make some very important decisions, and often the first we know about it is when it appears on the agenda, and we haven't had any briefing about it or any information until it appears on that piece of paper. I do not think that's a good model. A meeting on the 3rd or 1st, depending on which way around you look at it, Tuesday of the cycle would be a chance for the council and the executive to spend quality time discussing projects and issues that are ongoing or initiatives. The Thursday briefings are not working, as only some councillors can attend at that time, although I still see there's still some in the calendar, so we've still got a few of those to go. And we never get the information about those afterwards either. The ability to use the dedicated Tuesday evenings for informal briefings and discussions has another upside. We always want to attract a diverse pool of potential councillors. For those who are working, have childcare responsibilities or other commitments, briefings at 3 or 3:30 p.m. are extremely inconvenient. That's school time breaks up, so it's really hard to be there and pick up your kids and arrange for them. Knowing that setting aside every Tuesday evening would enable a councillor to receive all of the information required would make it easier for candidates to commit to running for election. We all know that there are other functions, events, etc. that happen at other times, but at least the core business would be accessible to all councillors. At the moment, many of us are left wondering what is happening if we cannot attend the Thursday time slot, and we do not receive any of the information by way of notes or PowerPoints afterwards, except on rare occasions or if we really push to get it. So another issue, at the moment, if we want to defer an item for any reason, if we want to defer something tonight, on tonight's agenda, it would have to be deferred for 2 rounds, because we cannot do anything about it in the time between now and the next meeting. If we're in a 3-week cycle, we would only have to defer it for 1 cycle. So it would actually come up much more quickly if we deferred an item. Councillors, I urge you to support the executive recommendation of the 3-week cycle. What we are doing now is not working well, and the ratepayers deserve better than that. Thank you.
Councillor Steele. Speaker against. Councillor Hayward.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. I do want to speak against this, and we'll be voting against this tonight, because it's as simple as this. We need to remember that we're here to serve the ratepayers of this community. It might not be convenient for us to squeeze everything in as is been outlined, or it might not be convenient for the staff necessarily have to pull work together to be able to get these agendas together, which is the argument that's being put. But the reality is we're here to serve the people, they're not here to serve us. So fortnightly meetings mean that business gets dealt with more efficiently and more regularly. Now, we know that there are things that are put off from time to time, and they are sometimes put off for 2 rounds, depending on what the amount of work that needs to be required on that particular item. But sometimes they are only put off for 1 round, and that means they come back in 2 weeks' time, and that gives people a much more efficient system. And when we're thinking about serving our local community, I think that that's what we should be doing. And what we're talking about tonight is talking about a reduction in the service to our community. We're having councillors less available in terms of their ability to make decisions. And I just don't support that. I think that the reason we went to this in the first place was that we wanted to be more efficient and give people more opportunity. Now, I agree with a lot of the things that Councillor Giles has said in terms of small meeting agendas and all the rest of it, and important decisions, but it's not about that. It's about serving our community and making sure that our community, that we are as responsive as possible. What we're suggesting is that we become more of a bureaucracy, that we take a longer time to deal with business, and I just don't think that floats with the community. I think we need to be doing all we can to serve our community and be more available to them. So I'd urge councillors to vote this down. Thank you.
Speaker 4, Councillor Yip.
Thank you. For the councillors who've done the elected member training, we've been told in no uncertain terms that our main job is to assist the administration in setting the strategy and direction for the community on behalf of the community. So I think we really don't have the opportunity to get to sit down and do that strategising under the current system that we have. I think we've shown that after the council meetings we all like to get together and talk, and I think that that third meeting could be really beneficial when it does come to strategy setting for us to be able to plan. And if we incorporate some of those Thursday information sessions, then we can all be across all the information when it does come to setting direction for the city. So I think we should vote for this. I think, as has been pointed out, the planning department and the rest of the executive have tightened up their efficiencies, and they tend to deal with most of it behind the scenes anyway. So I would like everybody to please vote for the executive recommendation. Thank you.
Speaker against, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm going to be voting against this recommendation for a couple of reasons. One, I agree with Councillor Hayward. And second, we haven't researched what's the reason for the decline in our agendas. Why are they so thin? I don't know why. Are we getting less business? What's happening in the city? So I thought that we perhaps should have done our research before we started voting on a different cycle, and that's the main reason I'm going to be voting against this tonight. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Speaker 4, Councillor McCleary.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I really am perplexed because there's good arguments on both sides, but I do believe you can have good governance with both. I think that with this, if the councillors are saying that they're unable to turn up for meetings, scheduled meetings that are nothing to do with the briefings or the OCM, then they need to commit that they will do that on the third Tuesday. Otherwise, it's all going to fall down. My concern with this, although I am going to vote for it, and I really want to bring it to the fore of the councillors, is that it's not an opportunity to have a day off, that you will have to turn up every Tuesday in order to be there to listen to these strategic plans, etc. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but I'm also progressive enough to say we should give it a shot. Now, the reason why, 7 years ago, that we changed this was we did have a heavy agenda. We were backlogged with a lot of planning, and we needed that 2-week cycle to get things going. There's been a lot of delegation of authority now, where that doesn't come, there's a lot of things that don't come to council that our executives deal with, and yes, we have a lighter load. But I can see with the new councillors coming on board that there is a definite angst about not being able to get background and feedback and presentations, etc., happening, so to bring them up to be able to make those decisions. So I'm going to say, let's give it a crack, because we can always change it next year. Thank you.
I'm going to speak against. I'm not aware of any elected member raising this with the CEO. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have. One. You've raised it with the CEO. The reason we've been doing this for 7 years, we dealt with this a year ago, and we supported the retention of the 2 weekly cycle. Councillor Hayward is quite right. We're here to serve the people. We're not here to serve anybody else. The fact that we get through our council meetings demonstrates how effective this council has been and will continue to be, particularly with the way that we delegate to our officers. The delegations are quite extensive. Most of the work is done, 90+% of the decision making is done by our officers, and that's the way it should be. The officers also provide a number of reports which are put on our IT systems. I know there's been some complaints about the efficiency of Docs on Tap. We get regular updates, newsletters from our officers. The Docs on Tap's information we get is quite extensive. We get periodic reports on capital works, on operational works. All the information that you need and I need to make decisions is based on those reports and published regularly. And I know that some elected members do go out of their way to meet with directors and the CEO if they have issues they want to more fully understand. And that's available to every one of you. There's no need for this to change. Don't forget, fundamentally, we're here to serve our community. And I don't mind what other councils do, how regularly they meet. It works for us. It has worked for 7 years. It's worked very efficiently for 7 years. So vote this down and let's go back to continuing what we're doing now. Another speaker 4, Councillor Steele.
Thank you. Serving the people is not just about meetings, it's all about inclusivity as well. I am actually probably only a councillor here that used to do the three weekly, and I can tell you now, on the third week, the people that we used to have coming in were not only just about the briefing, but it was all our little community groups that actually could come and present to us. People that actually do vote for us and do want to have a voice being heard. They aren't just about the 2 items that we have on our agenda each week at the moment. So we need to actually make our council more open to those people to be able to come to us and present. So I actually will be voting, and I really urge you all to give it a go. Thank you.
Speaker against. Councillor Giles.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just go over a couple of things. When are we going to get our briefings if we have a 2-week cycle, go back to a 2-week cycle? It can't be Thursdays, obviously. Are they going to go back to Tuesdays like they used to be, where we run out of time and we don't get proper briefings on a Tuesday before our meetings? How is that going to work? So I think the only way it can work properly is to have a 3-weekly cycle where we can have 1 week that is dedicated to those briefings. We're no different to any of those larger councils. I have not seen any criticism of any of those larger councils and busier councils of the cycles, the monthly cycles. They seem to get their business done very efficiently, and there's no problems there. So I don't see why we couldn't do that in 3 weeks. When they have monthly meetings, we actually will have 3 weekly meetings. Some of the points that I think Councillor Hayward made, or even Councillor McCleary, I don't think you should penalise conscientious councillors for what you think other people may do with that 3rd Tuesday. I don't think that's fair. I believe I am a very conscientious councillor and I go to everything that I possibly can, but I can't get to briefings on a Thursday at 3 o'clock or 3:30, and that's just the fact of the matter. So I find that I think that I'm being penalised because I'm still working, because I have to work to live, and I think other people will think the same if they are thinking about running for council and they look at the commitments that councillors have. And I think if you say it's every Tuesday, and if you come every Tuesday you'll get all the information you need, I think that is a very fair thing to say. Not, as the Mayor just said, 90% of the decisions are made by officers, and that's why we have small agendas. So I would like to have more briefings on the things that don't come to council. So we should be knowing about how many planning approvals have come up. We don't know any of those things because we don't get to talk to them often enough. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not working the way it is at the moment for me, and I know for other people have voiced the same opinions. Docs on Tap is not efficient, I have to say. I've been very frustrated with it. We're told that it's our machines that are at fault, then all of a sudden it's not our machines, it's the Docs on Tap. I think we need a much, much better way of distributing information than Docs on Tap. So even if we go to a 3-week or stay at 2 week, I think we need to do something about our communications, whether it be by a different program or even by email will be more efficient than Docs on Tap. So I would urge councillors to vote for the change to the 3-week. As Councillor McCleary says, give it a go. We'll have another opportunity next week to change it, not next year, to change it if we feel that it's not efficient or it's not working for some reason. But I think we should give it a go. Thank you.
Those in favour, please indicate. Those against? 2, 3, 4, 5. That's carried. So 4 were Councillors Kozisek, Plum, Giles, Steele, Yip and McCleary. The rest were against. We move to 13. Questions are asked and answered. And we move to closure. Sorry, we move to item 15.1. Can I have someone move we go behind closed doors, please? Thank you, Councillor McCleary. Seconder, Councillor Plum, all in favour? That's carried. Members of the public, you'll have to leave.